Coach Weiss said on Sunday that you had done the most coaching at that practice or any other practice. So if you could talk about that a little bit, what went on.
Well, one of the most important things for us, which I'm sure Coach has already said, is development of our players, because there's going to be, no matter who we bring in here in recruiting, there's going to be a number of people on this football team that are going to be on the football team. So we've got to develop the guys that we have, whether or not they're going to be starters in the future or whether or not they're going to be guys that are on special teams or whatever they're at. And the best way to do that is in individual work, where you slow down the technique stuff and really work on those things. And, he gave us, I think it was like 40, 45 minutes of individual time, and that was great because now you can break down things with the young guys. A lot of times when you're getting the older guys ready to play, you're neglecting the young guys because, they're not going to play, so you don't take the time to do, they don't understand things the same way as older guys do that have been experienced in what they're doing. So for me, that was a great practice because we were able to really work on the developmental things of guys. And, schemes and stuff like that kind of go away in the off season. You have to redo a lot of stuff. But fundamentals and how to play certain things and do certain things, that's the thing that can carry over from spring to fall to spring and on through.
How much confidence can a player build from those one-on-one sessions?
Well, I think it's not so much confidence. I think it's just all of a sudden, whoa, I understand what he's talking about. So from that standpoint, I guess that is confidence. He understands what he's doing. Some of those guys who are out there, even when we were doing the developmental practice and we were doing a lot of teamwork, they reverted back to a lot of stuff that they did when they were in high school because they don't have the experience to take the technique from the practice field to the game. And when we were doing teamwork out there, that's like being in a game for them. That's their game. So we just cut back on it. We still did some stuff, but not as much.
Is it unusual with the team that's struggling and not racking up wins to get that much out of them at this point in the season, in that individual stuff?
Yeah, I tell you what, this is a good group. Yeah. I don't have any problem with this group. I really don't. I mean, just the second half of the game, even though we weren't in the ball game and we were playing against some talented guys, but not first-line guys all the time, I thought our guys kept playing. And everybody says that sometimes, well, our guys played hard. But, I really think that there was a difference. I think our guys didn't throw the towel in, let me put it that way.
Right.
And so I think they're still with us, and we just got to get better. Just got to keep going. And there's going to be some teams we play, it's a personnel issue.
Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah.
That's the way it is. And the good thing is we have not gotten blown out of here on every Big 12 game. We've been blown out on a couple of them. Those guys are at the top of the heap right now. So really, we've got a lot of football left to get better and build something for the future, and that's, we're trying to win now, but it's also for the future.
Sure.
Coach, I know you've been in the pros the past few years, and this is your first year in the Big 12, but I'm sure you knew this, but this past weekend, 6 teams scored at least 50 points.
Right.
How difficult is it to try to prepare your boys for these guys?
Well, all I know is that Mike Stoops, who I have a lot of respect for, the defensive coordinator from Oklahoma, said to me before the game, he said, look, this is not a league to be a defensive coordinator in. I've said that here, I believe, a couple of times. It's a very explosive league. And, that's why I have faith that we're making some progress, because there's been a couple of high-scoring football teams that we've held down. We broke streaks in both those teams, over 30-point games. So, again, you want to win. That's it's not, you're not happy if you're not winning, but you certainly have to look at baby steps sometimes and to go forward.
Would you claim that being a defensive coordinator or a defensive player in the Big 12 is one of the most difficult jobs in college football?
Pretty hard. Like I say, the teams that have got in this league have quarterbacks, and they have guys, they have skilled athletes, and that makes it very difficult for the defense, when you've got those kind of players.
I'm sure you knew it was going to be tough, but has it been harder than you imagined?
It's harder. Yeah, to be honest with you, I always think, after spring football, I thought, well, we'll be all right. but it is tougher. And, again, when you're in different levels, there's different toughness. When you're on the NFL, you don't face as many things, but you're facing better players and better guys that can adjust at halftime and do those kind of things because they're experienced, they're men. Here, you don't have that, but you're dealing with a lot of firepower on offense, and it's you have to. I'm learning every day. That's one of the reasons I took the job. I don't want to. I think it's good for my age guy to keep learning, and I'm learning every day.
Going back to what Stoop said, did anyone try and warn you of that before you came here?
Not really. I didn't listen to it. I didn't want to listen to anybody at that point. In fact, Charlie said the opposite. Oh, it's easy down there.
Coach, what about Texas? Talk a little bit about them.
Very good football team. I think they're disappointed in a couple in the games that they played, and I think that can happen sometimes when you have a really good football team. Sometimes they're not quite ready to go, but they're talented. You look at their skilled athletes. They've got more speed, I think, than anybody we've played, including Oklahoma, I think. But when you got a world-class guy at one of the wide receivers that's been an Olympic gold medalist, they can run, and they're using guys. They've got guys that are role players. They've got a couple guys, 27 and 26, that come in and they're role players, but they're talented athletes. Well, they can't use them all at one time, so they've got packages for each group. And that makes it difficult in itself because they're doing a lot of things, but their players don't have to learn that much because certain players are in certain packages and they only run so many things. And another package comes in and they run other things. So it does present problems for the defense because the defense has to handle all of those different things. Whereas they're really, it's a little easier learning. And that's kind of the NFL way of doing things. That's how you use role players and do it that way. So they're a good football team. It's going to be a challenge.
Is it tougher to prepare for somebody like that that's doing a lot of motion and a lot of the different things?
Well, that puts a little bit of a toughness on it. They shift a lot, they motion a lot, they run the fly sweep, which is probably the Big 12 signature deal where they're running that receiver back there and handing them a ball in the backfield. That's the Big 12. And that's why things are so explosive because it's difficult to handle. So they run some of the spread stuff, but they also have the two tight end packages and the things that a normal football team has, and that's what's difficult.
Are teams doing more of that shifting around before the snap? Is it harder to get lined up? Have you seen more of that?
Yeah, you're just a little bit slower. It's like today, when they shift a tight end, we're moving a little bit. Well, if we're slow moving to get where we need to get, the ball's being snapped while a guy is not zeroed in and focused on his key. I got to get over here, and he gets over there, and he's just getting ready, and the ball's snapped. So you have to anticipate things, and you have to get where you need to get so you can read your keys and be successful. So they do good. They do a good job with it. Not everybody does that. Some people do it by just running different personnel groups on every play and keeping you a little bit on edge.